Hey guys, somebody asked that I do a little skill build guide, so I'm going to throw something together. I'm going to run you through my trees, and I'm going to build them from the beginning and show you what I'm going for when I make my decisions. So to summarize the build, first off, it's an Enforcer Technician build with some points in Ghost and Mastermind, mainly to increase your speed, but the brunt or the real core is Enforcer Technician, and the point is to be as the most combat capable class you can be, without going into without wasting points in things that you can't bring along in the same heist. For instance, you will have multiple equipment, but you're only going to bring along trip mines with this build, because even though you're going to have the other stuff unlocked, unless you're only going to bring those if you really need them. But the main thing is to have trip mines to take on bulldozers solo, because doing that makes you really self-reliant in the front line, which is really synergistic with Enforcer, which helps you out by making you really ammo efficient with shotguns. So we get it's a shotgun centric build, but we do get the technician's assault rifle skills, because even though it's a shotgun centric build, the M308 with the technician's natural headshot damage, it's still pretty much as good as you can make it without getting like a ghost silencer or something like that. The only thing that the mastermind does for it is give you better reload and less recoil, which isn't that big a deal actually. So Enforcer Technician becomes a really good shotgun assault rifle hybrid build, because that's what technicians are bringing to the table there. We grab those, we ace Demolition Man, because the deploy time is really useful for taking on bulldozers in close quarters. We get a point in Nerves of Steel, because that skill will save your life when you're reviving your team or repairing drills or doing anything pretty much in this game. We ace Hardware Expert, because it seems like in the Armored Transport DLC you're always drilling, your drills are always breaking, because they might have increased the the chance of breaking. It seems like that anyway with the amount that they break in this DLC. We're going to ace Drill Expert, and then we're going to get a point in Silent Drilling. Well, see, the thing is, the most optimal thing in terms of damage that we could get would be to ace Blast Radius. The problem there is that extra 8 points we can't spend, or else we're foregoing too much in the Ghost tree and Mastermind tree, which would be more important skills to have than just straight up Blast Radius damage, because we only have 6 trip mines. We're only going to be using them on bulldozers. It's not that important to have another 50% range on it. It would be useful, but it's not as useful as having the Shinobi skill, which is what we want to make ourselves a lot more mobile when we're moving around as Enforcer. And we need as much mobility as we can get, because ICTV has a lot of penalties. We're going to need to offset those with Mastermind and Ghost. So we're going to grab 1 point in that. We're going to get Silent Drilling, even though we don't stealth, because Combat Engineer, it's not that useful because it's a defensive trip mine skill, but we use trip mines offensively with this build. And then we're not going to use sentry guns because we're using trip mines. So we're going to ace Shape Charges, because having shape charges is really useful for just random heists. We're going to also get the saw with this build, so not only are we the best combat class, we're also one of the most, or if not the most, utility based classes for going loud at least and finishing heists quickly. We're going to get a point in Mag Plus, because it synergizes with shotguns and with the M308 very well, because those are really low capacity guns. We can make them a lot better with that extra 5 rounds. Having 10 would be nice for the ISMA, but we don't always use the ISMA. We also use the Reinfeld and the locomotive, and those don't necessarily require the ISMA. You know, those are offset. Their magazine capacity is offset by having a longer reload. You know, they have to reload each shell individually, whereas the ISMA and the M308 have magazine reloads, and the reload doesn't change depending on how big their capacity is. So if we were going to go purely ISMA, M308, pistol, then Mag Plus Ace would be nice. But as it is, we only get 1 point. For bulletproof, we only get the basic as well, because acing that would be nice to have it if we had some more points. It would probably be the next best thing. But we're not going to get it because we want that mobility. It'll get you out of fire, out of harm's way, instead of leaving you in there hoping you recover faster. If you get what I mean, we give up one for the other. Moving over to Enforcer, we're gonna get suppression because crowd control is the name of the game for this build. We're gonna ace Die Hard because armor recovery is pretty big. Like, we won't spend the 8 points to increase the rate, but we will spend 4 on that, especially because it's gonna work towards unlocking more skills. We're gonna ace Underdog because crowd control, Transporter because it's probably the best low level utility skill that Enforcer gets. We're gonna ace Shotgun Impact because shotguns are the core of the build, the most important thing to have, even just on your locomotive pretty much. You can use the locomotive secondary to carry you through any heist as long as you go around collecting the ammo. That's pretty much the only limiting factor with this gun. You're gonna get reload speed because that's really important for keeping up your crowd control with the amount of spawning that goes on Overkill. It's pretty much one of the best skills. I mean, everything that we get here is amazing on its own, and together it just makes Enforcer the best combat class in the game. We're gonna get stun resistance because flashbangs are so obnoxious ever since they got buffed. And then we're gonna skip ammo specialist because even though we're Enforcer Technician, it's still a C4 based Enforcer Technician. And because of that, we're gonna bring that, and the point of this build is to spend as much points as you can in the things you're going to use. Don't put them in the things you're not going to use. So you can't use ammo and C4 at the same time. There's no point in getting extra ammo when you're going to be using C4 most of the time. We're going to work to make you as strong as you can in one single heist. So instead, we're going to go for Tough Guy. We're going to bring the portable saw because it's more useful than ever with armor transport. I used to get hard boiled, but more hipfire accuracy actually just not important. Instead of this, you could get ammo specialist, but like I said, it's not that useful. You could go for Berserker. You could try to ace one of these lower skills, but you know you're not gonna be bringing ammo, so Bullet Storm's not useful. Melee kind of sucks, so you don't need pumping iron. Well, melee's kind of useful, but you don't need it with this build. This point, you're gonna be in melee range, but you can shoot them with a shotgun and get your ammo back. So you know, ammo's not a concern if you're a shotgun build, especially a mobile one, which we're going to be because of our mastermind and ghost points. So we're going to get a point in ammo capacity because it's actually really useful, and then we need 2 points left to get this top. So we're going to throw those points away by getting this the melee damage and pumping iron, and we're going to put a point in Bullet Storm. Even though I said we're not going to use it because we're not bringing ammo, we still need that. It's the only 1 point skill left to us. And then we're going to ace Iron Man because punching shields is pretty much one of the strongest skills in the game, and then the ICTV is the strongest armor in the game, and then Overkill, which is also one of the strongest skills in the game in terms of combat effectiveness. So we're going to get we have 14 points left over after all that. We've gotten as efficient as we can with our 2 main trees, and we're going to try to get as much as we can the other 2. So going to Ghost Sprinter, we're going to ace that to make ourselves faster because we have to offset the speed penalties of the ICTV. We're going to get fast hands. We're going to ace that because just looting faster is really useful. The amount of bags that you have to pick up and throw in this game is pretty big. So, I mean, we just do it. Why not? And then between Chameleon, Cat Burglar, Cleaner, and Dead Presidents, we need 1 point to get the next tree. We're trying to get to Shinobi. But in those trees, Cleaner is the 1 point that is made for damage. 5% is not a lot, but I mean, it's something. And you don't need Concealment, you don't need Dead Presidents, you don't need Cat Burglar. Because, I mean, you just don't. Shinobi, we want 1 point in that. And then we want to unlock Mastermind over here and get a point in Endurance, because that 100% stamina for 2 points is really huge. We need to double our stamina because the ICTV is a huge penalty. The stamina and speed penalties aren't as big as they used to be because they de-nerfed them a little bit, they buffed them a little bit in Armored Transport, but we still need it to get anywhere fast. And then that leaves us 1 point to do whatever we want with. And that 1 point we're going to be putting into, let's see here, trip mines, no. Sentry gun, no. Crafting, no. We can't put it into anything here. We don't need these skills. One of the most, I'd say the most useful thing would be combat medic and martial arts. The ability to knock down enemy close up is pretty useful when you're doing something like reloading your shotgun. You want to knock them down, put a shell in, and shoot them. And then combat medic, being an enforcer technician, you're usually going to be the last one standing. And then being able to revive those wussy ghost mastermind technicians is pretty nice. But it only lasts 10 seconds. It's not something that's going to happen all the time. It'd be useful if you had Inspire, so it's useful for mastermind specific builds. It's not that great for us because even though we do a lot of reviving, it's not that great a skill to have because our damage is so high anyway. We're going to be killing stuff in 1 or 2 shots no matter what, because of overkill, because of our shotguns, because of our headshot damage with technician. So we're going to go for that chance to knock down over here because it's just another crowd control skill to have, even though we might not use it much. I mean, we're not going to be falling that much unless we make a mistake. We're not going to use SMGs, so it's the best we got. So that's the build. It's a master, like, to reiterate, it's an Enforcer Technician build. Here, let's go through the equipment first of all, and we'll explain what to bring. So you're going to want to bring the ICTV at all times. You'll see that our stamina and our speed, I'm not sure if the speed is actually showing an improvement here, but our stamina definitely is. We've gone from 14 to 28 with that mastermind skill, and 28, it used to be like 24, but they buffed it a little bit, like I said, and that's pretty huge. We need that for this armor, and we'll see that our armor is really high with this on. For the equipment, we have these available. You have the ammo bag, you have the jammer, you have doctor bags, but we're only going to bring trip mines unless we're really, really desperate for ammo or med kit. And then in terms of weapons, you'll see here that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my 9 slots are shotguns. Yeah, I have 2 ISMAs because one of them has a flashlight and one of them has a laser sight. That's a little excessive. You don't need to do that, but I do that for being optimal because an ISMA with a laser sight is actually pretty good during the day. Some people might have really high brightness settings, so you don't need flashlights ever. I usually need flashlights because my screen is a pretty realistic, I would say, brightness. So night heists, I like to bring flashlights, and it helps you see things in videos too. I don't need 2 Mosconis necessarily, but I like to bring one with a mod on it just because I think it's pretty stylish to have that, you know, short stock there. I don't like the short barrel because I think it's, I don't know, pretty jank, but I bring it just for fun pretty much because the standard Mosconi, the spread being tight is kind of what you want because you want that tight spread for the range that you get for bringing the Mosconi over, say, the Reinfeld. And with only 2 shots, you want to get those kills as accurately as you can. And then we bring the locomotive at all times with this build. There's nothing better. I have 2, but one's silenced, and I only have that as sort of a gimmick. I never actually use it. We only use this Mosconi, or locomotive, and we have shark teeth on it. We have the assault light because I can't see in the dark. We have the pro grip because concealment's not a thing, and I don't know, the extra accuracy is pretty nice to have to counteract the lowered accuracy from the shark teeth. We have extended mag. No scope is put on it because stability is not that useful, and because I like using iron sights for my guns. I've said it before in the descriptions of some of my videos, but I think that target acquisition is a lot easier when you don't use a sight. Looking right down the iron sights and putting that little nub on the target's head is a lot faster for me, and I don't aim part of the time anyway. No stock either, because all these stocks, you'll see if the preview that they change the iron sight profile and make it harder for me to aim, so I don't use any of them. They all pretty much do the same thing. You know, you can put this on the head a lot easier than some of the others, but the flat top doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't do it. So I don't use any of them. No sight, no stock. And then we bring the shell rack because we're in it for the damage and the extra ammo. And then over here, I can go over to my Reinfeld. It has the same philosophy, pretty much. No sight, no stock, because I want the standard iron sight. And then for the other mods, shark teeth, because you know the accuracy is really good without shark teeth, but it's not necessarily bad with it, and the extra damage is nice to have. I debate sometimes whether I want to bring shark teeth or not. I usually opt to bring it because I find that the spread doesn't change enough that I'm not hitting what I'm aiming at when I have it on. Stability, I used to not put this custom grip on it because I like having the pure black shotgun, you know, just aesthetically, but it gives you better stats, so I put it on now, even though I don't think stability really matters for these guns. I put the assault light on again because I can't see in the dark in this game. I know some people don't have problems with seeing in the dark, but my brightness settings are, you know, pretty middle of the road. So if I shouldn't be able to see, I can't see in this game. Moving over to the grip, same grip. We want that extra accuracy to tighten our spread a little bit, counteract the shark teeth. Even though in this game it only takes 1 bullet or 1 pellet to do max damage, meaning that theoretically you could have as wide a spread as you want and only 1 pellet needs to hit where it's going. There's no guarantee that that pellet's going to hit, so we try to keep our spread controlled. If there were more pellets, instead of just, I think there are 10 for each shotgun, if there were more pellets in this game, then I would say go nuts with the accuracy. Make the spread as wide as you can, because then you'd be able to take out multiple targets with 1 shot and have a better chance at hitting their heads. But in overkill, you have to be able to hit the head, and you want to be somewhat reliable in terms of accuracy. That's just how it is. So no sight, no stock, and then shell rack. Those are the 2 pump actions. Go over to the ISMA. It's got pretty much the same philosophy going for it. shark teeth. I have the grip on, assault light, no sight, but we put the stock on because it doesn't change the actual iron sights for this gun. So the point of the wooden sniper stock is to tighten the spread a lot. That's what it does for us, instead of lowering recoil like you would want with any of the other ones. You know, those would be useful, maybe, but I like the tight spread because I hip fire anyway. You can compensate for things like recoil, but you can't make your spread tighter with any other stock. Same deal with this one. The only difference is that I put a laser sight on it because I tend to hip fire with this gun. I tend to hip fire with all the shotguns, and during the daytime there's no need for a flashlight. So if I wanted, I could do the same thing with the Reinfeld and make one with the laser sight anyway. I have a Moscone here, 2 of them actually, just for different spread patterns. You know, if I could, I would make different Reinfelds to different ISMAs, different locomotives for having the shark teeth and not. Same philosophy here. Sometimes I'm not sure whether I want the spread or if I don't want the spread, so I just have one for each situation. Here are my rifles. I usually don't have a sight on the AK. I just have a mil-spec on it for funsies, pretty much. For the 308, I do put a mil-spec on it at all times because it's got a nice profile. It's got, you know, a really pinpoint dot on it. I would like the new Seymour sight if it did have 3 pips on the crosshair instead of 4. You know, if you can see it here, it's got an incomplete crosshair. There's no top pip, so I find that for really quick snapshots at the target's head, you might go a little high, you might go a little low. It's just not made for that. You know, target acquisition is pretty important. If you watch my videos, I do a lot of quick shooting, quick aiming, quick firing, because you're in close quarters. You got to take out your targets as fast as possible, and you got to stay on the move. So being able to see quickly, acquire targets, acquire the head, it's all pretty important, and that's why I do what I do. So ICTV all times, trip mines all times, locomotive all times, and then, you know, one of these guns. I don't bring this car, it's just a silence car that I have for fun in case we go, oh hey, we're going to do a stealth mission for once, but we never do. So at 308, ISMA, Reinfeld, Moscone, all the shotguns, really good, and then the AK, and I would have the M16 here, but I was using the Commando to get an achievement. So the Commando's alright. It's pretty similar to the M16, just less damage, but if I'm going for damage, I'd rather go for the AK anyway, so it doesn't really matter that I can't bring the M16 anymore. The damage is 45 on the M16, it's 50 on the AK, so they're pretty close, but the 50 is better than 45, so I bring that. That pretty much sums it up. I think that covers everything. You know, the guns I bring, the types of attachments I have, all the skills. You can look at some of my other videos to see those things in action, and then maybe I'll do a video on the mastermind technician build I did in some of the videos. It was based on using pistols. Maybe I'll do a ghost mastermind guide running through what I like to put together for stealth missions. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you later.